I'm waking up at 3 a.m. because an idea just hit me in the face. But next thing you know, I didn't sleep that night. Like, I can't skip dinner 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row, and then work the weekends to make videos.
Are you happy with the basket that you started to put your eggs into?
I'm losing it, Ryan.
You just got to keep chipping away.
What I really learned is needs to be a why for every single decision you make. It's like you're building Jenga, and if you have a sketchy why and you keep building on top of your sketchy why, it's gonna fall.
Is there anything that you find that you're bringing over from your athletic world that you're now pulling into this new chapter?
It's like NFL Network to George Boyd, and you're just like, like, we're about to just do it. I literally spent 3 years of my life. This is no exaggeration. There's no hyperboles here. 3 years of my life.
Starting as the guest on this episode of Halftime Heroes. He's a former athlete and BMX rider who put his name on the map with a camera in his hand. He has edited videos for Disney, Anthony Bourdain, and the National Football League. He is the founder of Cut the Pod, hailing from Grapevine, Texas. Number 2, George Boyd.
Coffee, pour over coffee, wake up, pour over coffee. Typically I'm up before everyone else in the family. So then it's go to the computer and eat the frog, as they say. So it's like, yeah, whatever I don't want to do, I'll hop on that. And typically I'll like chop a little bit off the block, and then everyone wakes up and then the day starts.
Okay. And as we know you were an athlete, you're a BMX rider for many, many years. What did your sort of pregame ritual look like, as you were competing at the highest level? What did that look like?
It's funny. So like where I came into BMX, I was not in the competing side. I was actually in the like film and video part side. So like the analogy would be like whenever you find like, like I found a setup that I'm gonna have to do it. It's like, it's funny. My sister's is a diver, like, and we do the same thing. I like look at it, visualize it, do the weird hand motions, thinking, okay, I'll go do that. And then it was always just like, I need everything to be as like predictable as possible before I send it, if you will. And so it's usually a few deep breaths, make sure there's no like background babies, as we call them, people trying to like, see what's going on. And once it's calm, it's just like a deep breath and like, all right, here we go, and just go for it.
Yeah.
But visualization, okay. And then like trying to just make sure everything is just nothing weird's happening, and then I just send it. Yeah.
You're interesting. As I dug into you, I feel like you have a good mix of very, free-spirited, creative in a sense. You're a BMX rider, you're risking your life and limb at all times, but then you also seem very process oriented and structured and have like these amazing systems. So tell me about that balance between those two worlds, for you as a creative and an athlete.
That's kind of like my demon, to tell you the truth. It's like, it's like I'm always saying like I could just go all in and just be the full creative, just like trying to make the most creative, amazing thing that I can possibly dream up, or be really efficient and streamlined, and life is easy, and I don't have these big unpredictable spikes in the schedule. That's the beast I've been fighting my whole life. I'll tell you the truth.
And what do you do? How do you balance it? Because I struggle the same thing. I'm like, it'll be 2 months where I'm just balls to the walls, guns blazing, and then I'm like, systems fall apart, or whatever happens. So how do you sort of combat that?
I was just
find that middle ground?
I think I've like honestly recently given up on the middle ground, and that's like funny enough. It's like why I'm building this podcast agency. It's because most of my work for the past 10 years has been these like big high leverage jobs that mom and dad love to hear about, that just rock your world. And then there's the ebbs and flows, and there's nothing going on, and you're kind of waiting and gearing up, and then it's like, all right, like here's the call, and now it's going to be this another huge job with the NFL or whoever it is, and you lock in and you go crazy. And I was like, I got to build a floor so that there's like something that's just kind of always ever present, and that I can unleash the creativity when these things aren't here. And that's kind of my fix, is to like have something that's ever present, that's much more predictable, which is a podcast agency that I can lean into and make super creative and leverage all the exact same people that I work with when I do these big time jobs. And then when those big time jobs come, if I've done a good enough job with the agency, if you will, I can responsibly take that on and no one suffers. And I'm a better husband, dad, you name it, in the process. But it's a fight. That's my current solution. There'll be another solution in 5 years. I've given up on anything permanent.
Yeah, that's what I kind of feel the same way. It's like every 2, 3 years, I feel like I go through a new iteration of myself creatively and
Yes.
system-wise. I'm like, "Okay, right now this works. I'm getting up. It's 2 hours in the morning. I'm doing X, Y, and Z." Then 3 years later, it's like, "Okay, well, I got an hour at night that I'm gonna try and squeeze
Well,
in and
that's
do
like where you
this
got to
and
do
stuff."
everything, right? Because
Yeah,
you've got a full time job, so you have to do that. No.
yeah, I do. I mean, it's like it's usually wake up before the rest of the world wakes up to try and get a few things done, and then hopefully once people go to sleep, same thing, like try and piece in a few hours
And
when
now
I get
you've
the
got the
chance.
baby, so now you do what I do, where it's like, oh man, when that baby goes down, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and I can't wait to do it. Baby goes down, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna go to sleep.
I'm pretty tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, like, as you build this agency, are you finding that this like, okay, I've got this steady hum, this baseline, and then I sort of have these like riskier, higher profile projects, like, is that something that you see yourself doing long term where you continue to take on these, like, big behemoth, brands and projects and then still have the steady base? Or would you like to cut the pod to a place where it's like, okay, this is maybe has big spikes throughout and there's still like a hum behind that as well. So
That
how are you enjoying that?
if I answered that question, I would be so proud of myself. But no, it's so hard because I like to do these things, but to tell you the truth, like so much has changed. Because I when I started, it's makes me it makes me feel old. But when I started, Instagram was not like, I was at Disney. That was my first like big boy job, was being an assistant to an editor who was Disney marketing's go-to guy. And Instagram was not a deliverable for anything. And so it was like really leaning into these huge jobs. It's like a 30-second commercial. You're on it for like 9 weeks, like looking at every single cut. Can we do this better? Can we do that better? You know, going crazy about everything. And so that's like how I look at stuff still. But you can't because of social media. And then the alternative to that is so much is changing. So many companies are being bought. Like I work with the NFL Network every
Hmm.
offseason, and they were just bought by ESPN. So that
Yep.
was my favorite client I've ever had, and it might be gone. Who knows? Or it might be even better. Maybe that transitions into ESPN work. Who knows? But the way LA is, which is where I got my chops and lived at for 12 years. LA's always been such a consistent place of work for me, and now it's not. Like I have so many amazing, talented people I know who are out of work, and
Hmm.
it is scary. And as I was seeing the tea leaves a few years ago, I was like, oh my God, like he's not working. Travis isn't working. That guy's not working. Like people that are like legends, I was like, I got to do something that is completely detached from Los Angeles agencies. Um, and that's where the podcast idea started. I just drew up every single job that I had done that I enjoyed and made a graph for what would be predictable income, not soul sucking, and could build a really good system around. And podcasts came on out in the lead. And so I was like, I didn't even second guess. I was like, all right, I made this graph. I'm going with number one. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I hope I still do them, but it's deeply unpredictable, especially right now. And so I can't,
Yeah.
it's not a safe place to put eggs in a basket, is big time marketing agency work for me right now.
Yeah. It is very, very sporadic and very sort of I see it on my day job too. It's like there's no predictability of
Oh,
marketing budgets, any of that is really the
acquisition,
world's changed
companies
a
are
little bit.
buying other
Yeah.
companies. It's like, yeah.
So, okay, are you happy with the basket that you've put your started to put your eggs into? I mean, you're what now? Yeah, over a year into this cut the pod, work, maybe longer at this point.
Honestly, like,
Um,
it's funny. I don't know when I started, but I will
the
say
lines are blurry.
I took on the biggest job of my life this summer. It was a 4-month job following two athletes. One was Luther Burden from Mizzou, and
Hmm.
one was Dylan Gabriel at the
Yep.
Browns now. And I was working with those guys, not in person, but with their footage for 4 months. And so I actually hit pause on Cut the Pod, and I kept the clients that I had. I kept, but I
Yep.
actually even like offloaded one client at the top. I was like, I have to stop this because this job is
I
about
need
to just
time. Yeah.
rock my world. And so kept some people humming through it. And now that it closed, now I'm going all in on it. Like I went to a podcast movement conference, um, really leaning into different elements instead of just post production, trying to be like a proper one stop shop instead of simply post production, which is a huge change for me of just
Yeah.
delivering a video file versus like what I always say is I give people Ferraris and most people know how to drive them. And I've realized with some podcast clients, I give them a Ferrari and they've never driven before. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh, I got to put this person in the back seat and drive them around. So
yeah. So, okay. So tell me about how that pivot, not pivot, but sort of expansion of your role has gone and how you've approached that.
yeah, well, I was making, I make videos with people who I make podcast videos with the exact same people that I hire when I work with the NFL or Disney. So they're like
Hmm.
really high end deliverables, with a lot of thought and care behind them. And some uh, with two clients, there was 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes that they just sat on for months and never released it. And the key to podcast is consistency. So if you release a banger, get hundreds of followers, subscribers on YouTube, and then you just don't do anything, like everyone forgets about you and the algorithm forgets about you. So I was like, this is going to make my work look bad if people aren't using it responsibly. And so it's like a weapon almost. So I was like, got to help them wield the sword, if you will. And I just was like, I have to, because this is so bad for one. It's also like people can't record if they're not releasing either, you know?
Right.
So it's like, I'm not getting paid. And the work that I've done is just kind
It's
of
not
getting
getting out there.
not
Yeah.
getting
Sitting on
out
the
there.
shelf.
And the longer it's on the shelf, the more dust it gets, the least the worse of a response it's going to get online. So I just I had to push everyone out of the way and get in the driver's seat, I guess.
Well, that's fun. And okay, so we'll imagine that I am, your client, you're onboarding me for Cut the Pod.
Oh yeah.
I'm, brand new to this world. What's sort of your starting point for because I think of what you're doing as really just building brands. Like you're at the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
sort of like building, whether it's a newly formed podcast, something that's been around for a while, you're sort of shaping what is the direction of where this goes, who's the audience. What does that look like for you when you're like, okay, it's go time. We're starting this brand? Because I think this could be applicable not just to podcasters, but people starting a clothing shop or a bike shop, any sort of brand that they're building. So how do you approach that?
You nailed the description of it. I don't even know if I've managed to say it that well, but it is building a brand. So it's like the first thing I always do is the fun part. Like first I'm like, yo, halftime heroes, like let's just have a chat about what you're doing, why you're doing it. And then stupid, silly questions like, well, if halftime heroes was a car, like what type of car would it be? Or if it was going to a party, what would it wear? Or would it not even show up to the party? Like just like trying to like get an idea of what who you are, who your brand is, why you're doing it, who you're talking to, and then capture all that. And with that, I do the two really fun parts, which is one is building your shot. It's like, all right, let's make your shot kind of represent you, get you a new camera, turn off the default Windows webcam or Mac, if you will, get some lighting, get you set up nice, and then build a graphics package, which is, how are we going to represent ourselves visually online? What's the skins, if you will, for your podcast? And then that's how we get started. Then we start releasing episodes, and then it's like taking in data, seeing what's working, what's not working, trying silly things that you don't feel comfortable doing, launching micro episodes, maybe that registers better with your guests, changing the way you title things, the descriptions, getting keywords. It's just like all the second part is all the new part that I've attached onto the business, which is like really making sure that you're acting the way you want to act, not just for your brand, but so that the algorithms give you the respect that you're hoping for.
Yeah. So you've moved a little bit from just a true post production to like you're really now a producer of like you're
Yeah.
probably coming. I don't know if you're coming up with thumbnails and title ideas and hooks and all that stuff. But you've really moved into more of this like overarching producer role. Does that be fair?
Yeah. No, I like when I went to this podcast movement, the big podcast conference, my tag said podcast producer, branded podcast producer. But
Yeah.
yeah. And my goal with everything is when the budget's there, like I want experts to do what they're good at. I shouldn't be
Hmm.
building thumbnails. Do I occasionally?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want like a pro doing everything so that I'm uplifting the people that I'm working for as much as possible. And
Yeah.
yeah, I edit though. I'll always edit. I'll always build the trailers and everything. The long forms, like I'll pass that off to people that I've been working with. But again, it's like people I've been working with for years that I also pass off big time work for, and it all goes with the same filter at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned that one of the things that you ask is finding the why. Why are you doing
Mm-hmm.
something? And and a little homework on you. It seemed like you had a mentor who was always probing of like, why are you doing this? Why are you making this edit? Why are you making this decision? How is this happening? And why are you doing it? So I want to dig in on that a little bit. Like, why are you starting Cut the Pod? Why are you trying to build this company and making these decisions now to move into more of a full producer world? Like, tell me a little bit of your why.
Honestly, it's my why is I love what I do in my. It's not even my past life. It's current life. Like I'm just fresh off this big NFL job, but the level of me that I put into that work is like detrimental to my own well being. Like when I'm on an NFL job, I'm waking up at 3 in the morning because an idea just hit me in the face, and I walk out of my bed and I write it down, and maybe I'll test it out. And next thing you know, I didn't sleep that night. And then I'm waking up at 5 to 12 because schedules are always disgusting. They're like war crime schedules, not just the NFL, but like agency work in general. Um, and so I was like, this is unsustainable. Once I had a kid, I was like, this is unsustainable. Like I can't skip dinner 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row, and then work the weekends to make videos as much as I love it. So I was like, how can I use all that I have and all the people that I know to make my life more predictable? And like I said, podcasting was the answer because people release podcasts on a regular cadence, which means I work on a regular cadence. So it's almost like kind of like building the 9 to 5. That's the where my focus is, and then everything else can be like the midnight fuel or find creative ways to fold it into the day. But the goal is I'm very proud of the systems because of the mentor you mentioned who would drill us on not only our creative choices, but like, could you do that better? Could you start a project better? Could you build a template better? And so all those things that have been hammered into my mind from the most amazing mentor are here today. And it built Cut the Pod because I had to find a way to build a better system so that I can be more creative, essentially, at the end of the day.
Yeah, for me as a creative, I am somebody who seriously struggles with systems. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think I do best when I hosted a podcast for 2.5 years. It was I knew it came out every single Wednesday. It was not the most perfect system, but there was something to it, and the repetition of it kept me consistent, but the
Yeah.
system sucked. And eventually I burnt out, kind of like,
Mm.
you're competing with yourself. What are some of the systems that you have set up in your day-to-day to help? You've got a team that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
You're handling multiple clients. I have to assume you're probably handling financial stuff. Like, how do you sort of manage, some of the systems to operate your business?
To tell you the truth, like I'm the same way. I feel like it's a spectrum, and you don't get to have both sides. Like the more creative you are, the worse you are at whatever's on the other side. It just and I think I kind of sit somewhere in the middle, really. And even my creativity like comes from systems that are like, how do I find out what's available to me and how to use what's available to me to my best? So I really am super focused on like post production, right? Like I can do post production so well and so confidently, and I can say that because of who taught me. Like I'm s- I, I'm so confident in my post production just because I was taught by like a savant that I know my systems are like rock solid in post production. Once you get outside of that, I'm learning, but I use those same things. And what I do is it's like I have a template in the Finder level. Like every project I start, duplicate. I have a template for different types of projects in Premiere, the editing system. Whenever I'm starting this type of project, duplicate. Like with a podcast, I've got like nested, this is getting a little deep, but like nested sequences for split screens. Every client has their own Premiere project built out. So all I do is just open it up. It has a place that says put host here, host audio, host video, guest, 1, 2, 3 speakers. Like it's all laid out for me so that that initial like gut punch of the project has been sorted so that it's like, all right, let's go. And then I have tools that are like, all right, let's run it through the multi-camera thing. Let's do this, let's do that. And then even now into AI, which I'm still like learning a lot about, but like for shorts, like I don't use Riverside or Opus or Descript. I will check against Descript because I feel like Descript does a good job with its shorts, but I've like
Hmm.
built each of my clients, I have an agent for that understands who their audience is. And I try to teach what a good hook is. Sometimes it does a good job. Sometimes it just, you thought it's like your 10-month-old could have done a better job. But
Yeah.
it helps me get through these systems and think better and spits out things. I'm like, that's actually just a pretty good idea. And then when I go through the podcast, I'm always making my own assumptions on what should be a short. And anytime something lines up on more than 3 places, I'm like, all right,
Like
that's going to be one.
there's gotta be something
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like you're almost taking some of the think work out of the monotony in a sense.
Hmm.
Like, the simple stuff, the file namings, the conventions of how it gets dropped in, and it lets you maybe breathe a little bit more on the actual creative work.
Well, it's true. And like, honestly, it's funny how you mentioned you were with your 2.5 year podcast every Wednesday. Like you say your system sucked, but to hit a target for 2.5 years is like, it probably sucked because it drained you, but
Yeah.
you hit the target for 2.5 years. That's pretty good. Most people, I think it's like the number is like 10 episodes. Like I think it's
Yeah.
like 90% of podcasts don't make it to episode 10. That's true for me. Like I literally have not had a client get to 10 episodes yet in a year,
That's
which is
crazy.
crazy. I've had clients for over a year, but
They just haven't
they just
got to
haven't
the
got to
10.
episode 10. Yeah.
We got to
And
get you a client past 10,
I'm telling, well, I do have clients who are literally past 10
like on
because I came on
on
at like
track to, yeah.
46 or something.
Got it. Okay.
Um, but I've started, probably 7 podcasts and all 7 didn't make it to 10. And so I'm trying to build better systems there now that help people show up to record without, what are the roadblocks? And most of the
Yeah.
time it's they're busy solopreneurs who have 20 things to do. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to record the podcast this week,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
It's an easy,
it's a
it's an
hard,
easy thing to get put off.
oh
And
yeah, as you
once it
know.
gets put
Yeah.
off, it dies.
Yeah. It dies a quick death. That 1 week that you skip is typically you might
The,
as well just like close the door.
it's the kiss of death. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how has that process been for you building a team? I again think about you coming from a very individual sport, but you were
Ah,
part of
yeah.
the V Club. You were part of this,
Oh man,
sort of like this
that's a
squad.
you did your research if you can call a V Club. That's good.
I did. And so it seemed like you were kind of playing a solo sport in a team environment in a sense growing up. And, it seems like you're doing something similar in recreating that process now. So talk a
Yeah.
little bit about like
I'll tell
building
you the
that
truth, the V Club that
team.
you mentioned, like it was this group of friends in BMX, and what happened in that little like microcosm of my life, I guess, is literally the juice that I'm still using today to do what I'm doing. Like we were 5 close friends and we were literally just friends. Like no one was a pro, no one was great. And this older guy who worked at the skate park kind of like made clothes and called us the V Club because we were all like 13-year-old virgins who were like riding bikes. And so all 5 of us ended up like making it in the BMX world. And we all kind of took off in slightly different directions. Some of us went to the same teams, but like we stayed V Club. And I used to like manage that website. Like we released web videos, and like we were just good friends. And so taking that energy where we just were like a close knit group of friends doing what we love. I wish it was as romantic as I just made it sound. It's not once you get into post-production, you know? But no, there's just like a handful of guys who I'm like, man, like I love, like there's a composer that I'll use who's one of my best friends. I could give him anything in the world and he's going to hit a home run with it. And so any excuse I have to work with this guy, I'm working with him. Like he's made music for Roland and all these like huge companies, and I lived with him for 9 years. So I'm like, if I can work with Miles, like he's on the project, no questions asked. And then there's a motion graphics guy named Jordan, who's actually in like a really big band. I say really big, but a big band. And anytime I can bring Jordan on, I'm bringing Jordan on. And then I'm here at post production, and I use those same 3 people any job I run into. If I have a challenge, I'm like, all right, audio's hard, here comes Miles. Graphics are hard, here comes Jordan. If it's the story, I'm going to solve it. And between those 3, that's pretty much it. Like that solves every problem I've got. And then there's a couple editors who I've worked with for pushing like 5, 6, 7 years now, I bet, and keep them close. So whenever things get busy or whenever I feel like there's something that fits more of their vibe, I can put it in their house and let them run.
And did you see that as sticking of like, okay, this is where the sort of the size that I want this to live at? Or do you see a world where you're like, I'm taking on 200 clients, I've got multiple
No
editors, like
volume,
where do you see the size,
I was just
growing
talking
to?
with a podcast agency out of Kentucky who does 400 episodes a month. And I was like, that's just like not like that's where I could have cut my teeth, but is that what you say? Cut your teeth? Is that the
I
term?
think that's
Well, it sounds
that's right.
weird.
Yeah.
We'll say it. We'll roll with it. But no, like I was taught quality. And I'm not saying it's better than quantity. Honestly, most people would probably say quantity is the way to go. Like I saw someone say, never hire a millennial for your marketing work because they're going to try to make it perfect instead of figuring out what works. It's like, oh shoot, shots fired.
It might be true.
But yeah, I think so. So that's where I operate. But it is somewhere in the middle. Like I'm now doing tons of experimenting with shorts, which I normally would just try to make the best short possible. Now I'm like, oh no, let's just like see what sticks, and then when it sticks, let's make it as good as we can.
And that's the halftime whistle. We've got an absolute bloodbath happening here at the halftime grounds. George Boyd 4, halftime heroes 0. Just a clinic from the kid George Boyd. I mean, we knew coming in he's big time BMX rider, video creator, big time video editor. You know, we've seen it. We've seen his numbers. We've seen his stats. We've seen his clients. Facebook, Disney, NFL, Anthony Bourdain, you name it. Big time video editor. But as he's now building Cut the Pod, he's building his business around his life, not his life around his business. And that's a grown man strategy. You just can't teach stuff like that. So I'm excited what we got to see in the second half. It sounds like we do have Chip down in the locker room with Ryan Dunn to discuss. Chip, what do you got?
Ryan, first half of the books, how you feeling?
My head's spinning. I mean, the pace was quick, trying to keep up. George just keeps coming at me. He's dropping knowledge all over the place. It's just I'm trying to do my best.
Feels like George threw a lot at you, a lot of different looks, a lot of different sets. What was your biggest takeaway there in the first half?
Yeah, I think, finding your why. I think that was what I heard from George was you got to find your why. There's the big why, and then there's the little why. The big why is like, why am I doing this? What is the point? What is my mission? What is my goal? Who am I trying to help? And then there's the little whys, like, why'd you pick this song in an edit? Why did you cut there instead of there? Why are you sitting in a hotel bathroom in your underwear in the tub?
And what adjustments are you looking to make in the second half to right the ship and get back in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I'm just going to try and ask better questions. gonna try and stop saying as much. I'm just trying to listen and learn something. That's really it. That's all I can do, and we'll go out there and see if we can take it to them.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Ryan. Back to you guys up in the studio.
Okay, thanks, Chip. That was great. Sounds like Ryan's a little beaten down, but no worse for the wear. He'll get back to it in the second half. Before we get to the second half, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor. We don't actually have a sponsor this week, but if we did, it would be Magna. Magna, magnesium, electrolyte packets. They're delicious. They're nutritious. Obviously made with magnesium, support, brain function, better sleep, rehydration. They're 10 times better tasting than a Gatorade, and they're healthier, better for you. They do a great job too, as obviously this show is all about supporting athletes, supporting current, past, present, future athletes. Magna does a great job of that. You look at their Instagram, you look at their brand. They're all about supporting athletes with what they do. If you want to get a pack, I don't have a promo code, but Google Magna and you'll find what they've got going on. They will hit you a million times probably as soon as you watch this video with an Instagram ad, and you're locked in from there. So that's how you find them. They're delicious. I love the blood orange flavor. This is a new one that I've just been trying. They've got lemon lime. They've got iced tea and lemonade. They're delicious. So grab yourself a Magna. That is today's not sponsor. Sponsor. Could be a sponsor. Okay, and that's all we've got. It sounds like we're ready to get going underway here, and we'll kick it back to the second half.
But I think step one is something new. I have to convince and show that I'm capable of it. And I know I am because I've done it for Disney, Meta, NFL, CNN, like all the big companies. But when you enter this new world, it's like I feel like I'm kind of having to prove myself again. I don't have to visually, but I have to from a performance standard, which is not what I'm used to. I'm used to volume wasn't high because you're creating one huge video. And if it gets 10 views, everyone loves what we made. So they're like, cool, but that's not the game anymore. So I'm having to lean into volume. So I'm actually, since I broke both my arms, I've started hiring some new editors who are.
Since you have no use of your fingers or arms, you need some help.
I mean, yeah, if I told you I was anything but a producer right now, I would be massively lying. But yeah, so I am trying to bring someone on, 2 people, editors who can help make better shorts and manage long-term stuff. Prior to that, I worked with someone who was an amazing team member for 7 years, and she left. So I feel like the sweet spot's probably like a team of like 4, like I'd be a producer who builds trailers, which is like the high leverage creative assets, have someone who edits the episodes and does all the shorts, and then motion graphics contracting, music contracting. And I'd love to have someone who's just like operations and makes things hum so I can just stay in my lane.
Yep, stay on the focus.
That's
on
the
dream
stuff. Team, but
okay.
It's hard to build a team these days. I mean, I've been trying to hire for 3 months and don't have anyone yet. So
yeah, I know finding the right people is maybe the hardest thing to do in business. It seems
finding people who just even show up to work or deliver something on time is hard.
Yeah. Okay, so let's imagine you're currently the founder CEO of Cut the Pod, but let's say you go and find some amazing stud CEO to come in this imaginary world, and what's the first thing that they would change about what you're doing with Cut the Pod?
Oh, they'd probably just say you have to edit everything because why are you doing anything else but editing? But honestly, it's funny, it's a bit of a tangent, but I never considered myself an editor. I feel like editing's a bit of a low button seat job. I really think of myself as like, I'm in charge of your brand's assets and I'm going to make sure I use them as best as possible. So that's the first thing they do. They'd probably tell me like, hey, let's get you doing what you do best and put blinders on so that you are running as efficiently and straightforward as possible. And so they'd probably put me somewhere between post-production and post-production supervision.
You'd be the horse with the blinders on, just going straight.
That's the dream, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned, obviously it is a bit of a grind, trying to build your own business. You've been at this, you're not even sure exactly how long. I've always had this phrase of mine of like chip away. You just got to keep chipping away. What have been some moments for you in this process of building your own company where you feel like you've really, been chipping away and sort of like making headway? And then maybe a follow-up to that is, how do you sort of step out of that day to day
Mm.
of chipping away and see the bigger picture and, plan more broadly? So maybe a two-part question there,
Yeah.
but how have you sort of chipped away at building this brand?
Well, I think the real answer is like I did the what I set out to do, which is like build really strong podcasts that look good. And that's a grind because, as editing a podcast, this is you want to watch someone talk for sometimes an hour and a half and chopping it down. And sometimes they're really awesome episodes that are like thriving. Like, man, I can't believe I get to listen to this thing that's like making me a better person and I'm editing it. It's great. Sometimes it's a grind to get through certain episodes and you're like, this is just this one's not a winner, but it's still going out. And so that process of just editing the long form, chopping it down to short form, you do that and you even know that like, you know what, like I believe in this client, but like this one's just not the episode, but you still have to do it. That's like
Hmm.
a grind. But looking at just the actual like creating a podcast is a grind. But then the second piece to that question, I think, is the growth of a brand, if you will, through the podcast. So how does the podcast become like the engine or a engine for marketing for this brand so that there's like data to show like, I'm so glad I invested so much money to make a podcast because I'm getting X number of sales calls per episode, or someone who watched my episode 10 months ago is still calling me because of that single episode. So it's like
Hmm.
figuring out how to make that happen more for clients is the bigger problem that I'm solving now, is like when you do have a good episode, how do you make sure that you get all you can? Because at the end of the day, like a podcast is kind of the lights are off and you're shooting shots in the dark with every episode and you don't know where the
Hmm.
target is and the target's moving and sometimes it's not even in the same room or the zip code. But every now and then it is in the same room and you hit it. And when you do hit it, like you don't just say like, well, my contract says I make 2 shorts per episode and move on. And it's like I try to position myself to where it's like, okay, like we got to make this a winner for them.
We got a winner here. We got a
We
pump.
got
We
to
got a, yeah.
squeeze the juice out of it. This should be an ad. This should be this. And I've worked with all those different divisions of companies. So I can be like, hey, like you guys really should get this to your marketing department, like this snippet if you can, and see if they want to run this little piece as an ad or put a call to action on this, or like just like really making sure that when you do have a really nice asset for a brand that you do what that asset deserves so that it lifts everyone up.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So as I dug in on some of your past work too, you talk about your NFL work, but I imagine it's similar in, the podcast world too. You're sometimes, I imagine, going through 40, 50, 60, 100 hours worth of footage. And, you've talked about sort of reshaping footage that already exists, footage that people see. And I think like, we now live in this world of abundance where there's just like
Oh yeah.
endless content. And so it seems like it falls back on you a little bit to like reshape or reconfigure a story based on stuff that already exists. How do you do that? Because I
Oh
think
my
that is
God.
one of the biggest challenges of any brand podcast. Like there's so much content, they use it once and
It's
it's gone. Like
so amazing.
how do
It's
you do
so
that?
funny you say that because like I literally spent 3 years of my life. This is no exaggeration. There's no hyperboles here. 3 years of my life making videos with the exact same bucket of footage. And it was at Disney parks for Disneyland, Disney World, Shanghai, Tokyo, Disneyland Paris. We had the exact same B-roll and we'd work with the creative directors and they'd say, here's the new messaging campaign. This year it's Shine Like a Diamond. And we'd be like, all right, well, we're going to go through all this footage again, pulling selects with the lens of Shine Like a Diamond. And like, what does that mean? It's like, okay, like kids looking up with these big eyes, or like shots where the sun's like breaking through. And so it's like just putting a different lens on and looking at the exact same thing. It's like, what's the filter this time when we go to that exact same bucket of footage? And that's how we made a living for so long. It was like a team of 3 of us. And that's what we would do. A creative director would come in and they trusted us because we'd done it for so long and Chris managed us. They'd be like, all right, here's the new campaign. They'd give us the pitch and they wouldn't even say, we need a 30, we need a 60. They'd just be like, all right, we'll see you on, in 3 weeks.
Whatever
And we'd just
day.
like
Yeah.
give them a pile of everything we thought worked for it and test cuts and experimental cuts. And then they'd be like, that works really well. Let's do more of that. And so that's what we did. And it was like, you know, there was some days where you're like, oh God, like I gotta watch these damn kids ride the Dumbo ride again, in slow motion that you've seen like literally hundreds of times.
Yeah.
But if you could really lean into it, like it was never the
You
same
can tell an
footage.
entirely new
It's like,
story.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you walk down the street every day, but it's different every single time,
Yeah. What did you learn about, I mean, Disney have to be considered one of the best storytelling companies in the entire
Mm.
world. Did you learn anything special about storytelling or brand building from them?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, it's all from my boss, Chris is his name. He like Disney hired him. They never hired me. They didn't say I want George. They wanted Chris. Chris trusted us and we worked in their studio, then eventually out of it. And we did everything because he trusted us. And so what I really learned is needs to be a why for every single decision you make. So no matter what you're doing in storytelling, like literally just telling a story, right? Like you show a clip of the big wide shot of Disneyland, then you show a shot of the new section of the park, the new Avatar land. It's like, well, why did you show this ride in Avatar land? Or how come you didn't start with a family walking in together? It's like, well, we should start with a family walking in together because this whole reason Disney's doing this is because it's like a place that's not just the ride, as an experience where everyone go together. So we
Hmm.
should open that up with that subliminal messaging of like, yeah, like show the family and then show the kids can go to this. And then you show the parents are like sitting having a weird electric cocktail over here. And it's like, but why do you show in what order and where do you do what? And then like, when do you break the pattern to show the big, huge reveal of whatever that's going to be? So it's all about why, which sounds really simple, but like when you're actually in the weeds making these decisions and you're just trying to get it done, it's easy to lose track of why.
And are you
And
like
so,
consciously doing that when you're in edit? Are you asking
oh
yourself, why am
yeah,
I putting this? Yeah, that's
100%.
part.
Because my boss Chris used to walk in randomly, point at this random part of your timeline, and say, "What's going on here?" And he'd ask you to play it, and he'd be like, "Why'd you choose that shot?" And if you didn't have a educational, like a strong answer, he's like, just start over. Not start
Yeah.
over on the project, but like delete that.
Like think
Think
about
about
why
what
you
needs to
need.
be
Yeah.
there. So I got that type of like training for years. It's just like it's subconscious now. It's like, okay, I'm never, even if I'm trying to get something done quick, like
It's
I
just part
have
of
to
your
have a why.
workflow now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're building Jenga. And if you have a
Yeah.
sketchy why, and you keep building on
That
top of your
thing's going
sketchy
over.
why, it's gonna fall. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got to ask this because I've dealt with this on probably a much smaller scale than you. W- What song has been ruined by an edit for you?
Oh, that's funny. You know what's funny though is like it's actually this is not what song's been ruined. This is a song that solves every problem in the world. It's called "We Bought a Zoo" by I think
Okay.
Sigur Rós or Jonesy. Um, and for us, music is typically not your problem. Like as an editor, like when you choose a song, you're choosing a good song. Typically with music, you're just trying to please somebody somewhere who's got some preconceived idea that's not better for the job, but you have
Hmm.
to make them happy. That's typically the case with music. But we had this song called "We Bought a Zoo," and it was a joke at the agency I worked at with the three guys for 9 years. Anytime we couldn't get someone to like something, we'd be like, all right, put "We Bought a Zoo" on it and it'll get through.
And
And
it worked.
yeah, always, always. It was, uh, but the problem was then you didn't have rights to it. So typically it's like, okay, well now we're gonna have to get like a composed version of. We had that thing composed in different ways
Like
so many times
12
because
different ways.
it
Yeah.
solved everyone's problem every time because it was just like a beautiful structure of music.
Okay.
But ruined, man, I don't know if I think back in the BMX days stuff would get ruined, but today there's just like there's such a high volume of noises to hear. It's just like, yeah, just go to the next one. If someone
Slap
doesn't like
whatever's
it,
on
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Like if someone's not gonna like this one, go to the next one.
Yeah. I just
So
think through like putting together edits and you're just scrubbing back the same 4 seconds from a song over
Oh
and
yeah.
over and over again. And like, okay, I gotta take a
I
time
gotta
out
get
for
out of
this,
here.
from
Honestly,
listening
I
to
think
this for
I'm
a while.
conditioned now from like 15 years of it. Like I don't. It's just part of the game.
And I
It's not
don't
even like
even
it's not
hear
even
it.
ruined.
Yeah.
It's more of just. But sometimes I'll be like, I was making a video for the Eagles, like 3 years ago, and it was just crazy because I was on this music library, thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of songs in this library, and I was like, oh man, that is such a badass song for them walking out. Because I don't know if you've ever seen they have these like lasers that shoot through their
Yep.
and I was like, I thought forever, like, how do I make these lasers just so awesome? And I found this song, used it, and then I was watching like a live show of their game. It's some like weird, like like when you're on like TNT and it's like not the actual
Yeah. It's
angle,
like the
but it's
side
like
broadcast.
this,
Yeah.
yeah. And that song was used in their actual opening. I was like, what? Not them walking out of there, but like when the players, they get everyone pumped up before the players walk out,
Yeah.
was that exact same song from the exact same music library. I was like, what are the odds?
Pick the winner.
Picked a winner, and someone else over there did too. So,
Okay. So you've said that you love working on sports videos. Obviously, what you're
mm,
building with Cut the Pod is your baseline, your safety net, your sort of consistent world. We're calling this segment "Shoot Your Shot."
okay,
You get to make any video
I
for any
already know it.
client
I already know
in the
it.
world.
Got it.
Look into the camera and make your ask for what is your dream shoot your shot project.
I'm making the Dallas Mavericks stadium intro to announce right before the players walk out. That one where the stadium goes dark, video plays. I'm making that video. That's the dream.
All
That's
right,
the
so Mark
dream.
Cuban, if you're listening,
Well, the Mavericks are dead in the water now. They're owned by bad people, and the evil people run it. But the dream would be for Mark Cuban
yeah.
3 years ago.
Okay, all right. So Mavs, we need to get George
They're
doing
not
the in-stadium
dead. They're
intro.
just they made some decisions that killed the
It's
fandom.
there's been some questionable choices over there.
Yeah,
That could be a whole other
yeah. Don't
podcast
get
here.
me started.
Getting you riled up. Okay, I do want to talk about, speaking of basketball and sports, you get the chance to build your starting five collaborators.
Ooh.
So, you
Okay.
get to pick partners. They could be consultants. They could be on your team. These can be real people, or they can sort of be a figurehead of an idea. So, Bill, I want you to go out and build your starting five of a network to help you build Cut the Pod or whatever you want to be able to do creatively.
All right. Well, my dream answer would actually not be interesting to people because it'd be people that nobody knows. And it's the
Yeah,
team that I built, the team that I was a part of being built at Fugitives, which is this amazing agency. We could solve we could solve hunger like in our
yeah.
heyday. But it's not going to be them. So instead, I'm going to bring on Dirk Nowitzki because
Okay, love it.
it's just if he's involved with something, I'm gonna be at my best. And then creatively, honestly, there's a guy who is gonna film everything, and it's this Instagram handle. It's called Merrick's Alexander, I think is his name. He's
Okay,
like one of those guys at NBA games who's filming like up in the rafters in this weird slow motion and like cuts it real cool. I think even like Kyrie hired him to do
yep,
some personal videos this year. I've just followed him on Instagram, been obsessed with him for a really long time. Um, the other guy is this guy named Tom Nost, I believe is his name, an Instagram guy, kind of like business help guru situation, but he shoots everything just so beautifully. Um, so I've got Dirk is culture, got
culture
this
keeper, Dirk.
culture
Yep.
keeper, got this Merrick's Alexander, I think is his name. I'm probably butchering it a bit. Shooting everything. And we'll put Tom Nost, I believe is his name, as creative. And then I love Oren. Uh,
Yep.
you know him on. He's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
creative director. Bringing him on, and then I get to be on this team, right?
You can be on the team. Yeah, you can
I'm
fill
on
out
the
the five.
team. I'm gonna
Yeah.
edit. I'm gonna edit for these guys. There we
Yeah.
go.
All right.
So
That's a pretty good little squad.
yeah.
Um, I as you are now, sort of pivoting to this producing world Is there anything that you find that you're bringing over from your BMX life, like from your athletic world, that you're now pulling into this new chapter of Cut the Pod?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was just talking with a close BMX friend who does a lot of what I do. And we were just saying, like, God, it's just like the BMX thing all over again. Like, you subconsciously just find yourself in the same situations. And maybe they're not the same, but you process it
Feel the
the
same, or
same. And so
yeah,
you
yeah,
make it the
yeah.
same, whether it is or it isn't. But for me, it's a lot of like I'm bringing on a new client in like this month who I'm super stoked about, like really pumped on. And I get really nervous about it. Like, oh man, like maybe this one's like too big for me. Um, and it's the same feeling of like, when I used to be like filming a video part and you have to like find your ender, which is like what everyone's going to talk about, like the last trick you did in your video part. So when you're filming a video part, you're always like, oh God, like I think I found my ender. Like I think I'm going to do this. And it's like this beast in your head that like, if you went and did it on day one, it probably wouldn't be a big deal, but it sits in your brain for a while and you're like, yeah, like you have to get a filmer, you have to get a photographer, you have to get everyone on a schedule. So then you have to go to the spot and do it. And all of a sudden this thing that was like already scary is exponentially scary because now there's people's schedules planned around you doing a trick, which just like, that's a lot of pressure. And so handling that type of pressure and being used to sitting with that and then having to perform where you go put your, like, all right, I'm going to go jump off this massive thing and land on this skinny thing and then do this off the rail. It makes certain challenges feel like it makes everything feel doable. It's like, yeah, I can do it. It's going to be all right. Like, I'm going to, and then if it's not all right and you're not too sure, you're like, I'm just going to send it. And I'm have enough confidence in my skills that like, if I crash, at least I'm going to get out of it all right.
Hmm.
So,
You seem to have found this like, I think sitting with fear is a good thing, and being able to
uh-huh.
sort of like push that. Where is that line of fear and nerves, and like a little bit of nerves, a little bit of fear is a good thing. Too much
Hmm.
is maybe
Yeah.
problematic, and it's sort of, how do you sort of push that envelope? It seems like that you've brought that over from your sports world.
Yeah, no, I love like when I did this job that I keep referencing with the NFL with Dylan, Gabriel, and Luther Burden, I was like, oh my God, like I need a team of like 5 people. But I didn't. It was just me. I did literally everything. And I remember how scared I was when that first hard drive showed up to my house. And it's like NFL Network to George Boyd. And you're just like, fuck, like we're
This is
about
a
to
big one.
just do it. Yeah. so I love it's funny. It's like it gives me the same nerves that you used to get when you were about to try something that was like just out of your skill set. Um, and it's a good feeling. So I try to it's a familiar feeling too for me. So I guess I'm probably chasing it whether I know it or not.
Yeah, it's maybe a follow to this, but what is your approach to getting better, to improving more on just like a professional, personal side? Like, how do you sort of build and grow and learn? It seems like it's something you've always sought.
It's funny is this is part of the problem with me at Cut the Pod is like I could sign on a client, be like, you know what? I found out a way to cut everything and I can do it in 47 seconds, a full episode. So I'm going to charge someone, X number of dollars for an episode. No matter what, when I get into that edit, I'm going to find something that's like, ooh, I could, oh, you could do this and I could make this do that. And that would be really cool. And so like, I'm my own worst enemy to like the business because of my creativity monster comes out and decides like that would be really cool. So I'm always trying to like find a way to push that creative. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
set up a system that shuts that down. Um, so that's trying to structure like a business model and pricing structure that doesn't shoot myself in the foot whenever I decide like, ooh, there's something cool here.
I gotta
Um,
go explore for a while.
yeah, yeah. So trying to make sure that that's always an option is something I try to keep open.
Okay. All right. I want to wrap up with just a couple rapid fire questions
All
here to
right.
sort of round you out. Um, so maybe my first one is, you were a top five performer on Upwork, is my
Ooh.
understanding. What made you a good freelancer on Upwork?
All right. I don't know if I was top 5, but I will say
We'll call it top five. You
I was hired by Upwork to find like what makes a good video editor, and like I helped develop a system to grade video editors. So
Wow.
I'd like to argue that
It must have been decent.
I was up there. Yeah, I know. So your question was like, what made me top 5? Is that what you said?
Yeah. What made you good?
Timing. I got in on Upwork because I did not know where to find a client when I was working at an agency all the time who was not going to directly compete with. All my relationships were tied to that agency.
Yep.
So I was like, I'm going to be, what do they say? Like biting the hand that feeds you if I try to make extra money based off the people that I know
Like
here.
on the side. Yeah.
So the only safe space was like Upwork. And I was so, I don't want to say I was so early, but I was early. And all you got to do, every job, the best blessing I've had in my life is working for freaking Disney. Like, even though the creative sometimes wasn't that great, I just dropped that, share some evidence that I really did it, and boom, like people just want to hire you for it. So I used that. I just led with that on Upwork. Disney video editor. And there's people 10 times better than me
a lot
that
of doors for it. Yeah.
couldn't say that, and that's it. So did that. I mean, I did some god awful jobs on there that were so far below me. Like the first job I ever did was like a music video. The guy wanted me to take like a Nelly music video and then put like some other song underneath it. Did it, and he was like, I don't like the way that looks, and then said I failed the job and didn't pay me. And I was like, well, that's not my fault. Like I did what you wanted. It was a bad choice on your part. So yeah, just putting your nose to the pavement over there is what I did. And it was awful. It was so far below me, which I don't like saying that ever, but it was like so far below me. And eventually it paid off to where it's like, I would open up, I probably could have made a living off that site if I put more faith in it, because I would open that thing up and have like 15 offers, like with money in the account sent to me. And I just like, I can't do all these. So I would just scroll through and choose the most exciting one. And it was just always available. It was like a box of jobs that I could open up. But then it changed. They changed CEOs a whole lot, rebranded a whole lot. And now it's like, I can't, all the relationships I had over there are gone.
You stay out of there.
I might as well be like a 14-year-old kid with CapCut on that site, because it's just like none of my work in the past helps
like
me.
Translates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Next one. You've now spent 52 minutes here sitting with me. What are you fixing about Halftime Heroes? We'll start with the setup. Is it what are we fixing from this setup?
I like it.
This is new for me, so I'm kind of getting a feel for.
My question I've had this whole time is, what camera do you have?
I'm just going off an iPhone.
It looks really good. I don't know if mine looks as so I would actually, simple fix, I'd probably run your iPhone through Camo Studio or Blackmagic Camera. Yeah, CAMO. And I would blur the background more. Like I don't want to be able to read that it's Campari. I love Campari, but I like a Negroni, but I don't want to, and it might be that we get more distance between you and the shot.
Yep.
So the background's blurred a bit more. And then one of my favorite things to do, with a nice camera, it would show up. But this light behind me, this orange light, what it should be doing is like kind of kissing my
giving a little
top
glow
of my
off
head.
The back.
Yeah. And like my hair has this little like orange little like particle feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a backlight. Some people call it a hair light. I would get that going. But the gist of what the shot would be, we'd probably see how much distance we can get between you and the back.
Yep.
I think it'd be fun to get something to cover up that white wall just a little bit.
Yeah.
And if we're really going for it, maybe like a LED strip that goes down the side of that bookshelf. That's like a just really subtle touch of color.
Pop of color. Okay.
Yeah. Like you might not even be like, oh, is that on? But you just like feel this little like glow. But it's a killer setup. I mean, like it's good. It's like, what I love when someone has a bookshelf is that it looks actually like used. I hate like a manicured perfect bookshelf. It's like, he's never read that book. Okay, I bet you read most of those books on there.
We have this. So. I mean, you should see the setup. I'm the reverse of this angle is I'm sitting in the middle of my little apartment here, and my desk is just pulled out in the middle of the room.
Are you in Boston? Where are you?
In Boston, yeah.
In Boston, yeah. Good.
So I'm in the north end of Boston. So some old Italian neighborhood apartments that have been sitting here for 100 years, and it's a unique layout. So we're trying to find the space that.
But works. You're good though. You're good. I'm glad you don't have a window behind you. I have a window behind me, but it's a sin for most of the time, but
Yeah, it's tough. There is a window right here, so I'm
but your
trying to.
lighting's pretty good. But I would be
Okay,
like,
good. We'll
yeah, I
take it.
might even ask you now while we're here, like, do you have any lights in your room on?
No.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's something I love called it's a Verge Max. Is this type
Yeah.
of light? It's this kind of round, soft box, but it's actually LED, so doesn't take over your room.
Yeah.
Love those. I don't know
Okay.
if you need one, but maybe I'd get that. I'd probably get 3. I'd probably make you buy 3 lights and do a little interior
Build a
design.
whole
But
studio in
you've
here.
got
Yeah.
a foundation that is
Halfway decent.
above
Okay.
average
It's
for sure.
serviceable. Okay.
Oh, beyond
That's
serviceable. You're in the lead.
that counts.
But
Okay,
yeah, if
the
one
show.
thing though, Camo Studio,
Yeah.
open that up and
Camo
you can
Studio.
you can
Okay,
do
just
just
give
a
a
few
little.
subtle adjustments and have a
Yeah.
little more control, because you can sit
All
in
right.
front of this exact same camera and it could make a different decision tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then
That's true. Yeah.
that's the issue. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll give that a shot. And then my last question for you, George, to round this out here. What makes you great? What makes you better than anybody? What's your superpower? What makes you special?
I'm gonna say my superpower is who I was taught by. I swear I was taught by the Beethoven of video editing, and so all the confidence I have in myself, like I'm usually pretty humble, but in the video editing world, I'm like, I'm so damn good. Not because of how I feel about myself, because how I feel about who taught me. I have so much faith in him that it has to come through me if I believe in him that much. So my superpower is who I was taught by. I feel like I was one of the luckiest video editors of like the 2010s because of where I landed through a Craigslist ad. And so I feel above all. And then just, the unique approach of having been in an individual sport and the mindset that it puts you in. And then working in post-production where you are in your own little brain all the time and having tools to manage that. That's my superpower.